Applying for SNAP benefits can feel, well, pretty complicated, but it really doesn't have to be. In this explainer, we're going to give you a clear step-by-step guide to help you get through the whole process with confidence.
So, are you finding it a little tougher to keep your kitchen stocked these days? If that sounds familiar, I want you to know you are definitely not alone. It's a real challenge a lot of people are facing, and there are programs out there designed to help.
Here's the thing, and it's a really big deal. Every single year, millions of Americans who are entitled to food assistance, well, they just don't get it. And a lot of times that's because of confusion about the rules or maybe some misconceptions about who actually qualifies. Sometimes it's just feeling overwhelmed by the paperwork. We're here to help clear all of that up for you. So here's how we're going to break it all down. First up, we'll talk about what SNAP even is. Then we'll dive into checking your eligibility. After that, we'll walk through the 5-step application guide. We'll also cover some common mistakes to avoid. And finally, what to expect after you apply.
All right, let's dive right in with the most basic question. What exactly is the SNAP program?
Okay, so SNAP stands for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. Big name, I know. But basically, it's a federally funded program that gives eligible folks an EBT card. EBT just means electronic benefit transfer. And honestly, this card works just like a debit card at most grocery stores, helping you buy the food you and your family need. The amount you get is usually based on your household size and income. Okay, this is probably the question on everyone's mind, right? Could you actually qualify? Let's take a look at how eligibility is figured out. So when a state looks at your application, they're generally focusing on 4 main areas. First, there's your household income. That's both before and after taxes. Then, your household size, which is just the number of people living and buying food together. Your status, like being a US citizen or having a qualified immigration status, is also a factor. And finally, and this one is so important, they look at your allowable expenses. Things like rent, utilities, and childcare costs can actually be deducted from your income, which might be what helps you qualify. Now, I really want to clear something up here because it's a huge misconception. A lot of people think, oh, I have a job, so I can't possibly qualify. That is just not true. So many working families receive these benefits, so please never assume you're out of the running just because you're employed. All right, now we're getting to the heart of it all. Let's walk through the 5 essential steps to apply, from beginning to end. When you break it down, the process is actually pretty manageable. Let's go through it. Step 1, a quick online search for your state's specific SNAP requirements. Step 2, get your documents together. We're talking pay stubs, lease agreements, utility bills. Step 3, submit that application. And trust me, doing it online is almost always the fastest way. Step 4, you'll do a short phone interview. And finally, step 5, you just wait for that decision notice to arrive. And hey, a really, really important tip here. When you submit your application online, you're going to get a confirmation number. Please write it down, take a screenshot, do everything you need to do to save it. That number is absolutely critical if you need to follow up on your application later. And that quote you see on the screen, one small error can cost you weeks of benefits. Man, that just says it all. It perfectly sets up why this next section is so incredibly important. So, let's get into those common pitfalls. We're going to talk about what they are and exactly how you can avoid them so your application sails through as smoothly as possible. Okay, let's quickly run through the most common mistakes people make. Not reporting every single person in your household. Providing income information that's not quite right. Missing that interview appointment. That's a big one. Not getting your documents in by the deadline. And another huge one, underreporting your deductible expenses. Remember, the more costs you can show for things like rent or childcare, the better your chances. Accuracy is just everything here. All right, you did it. You carefully filled everything out and hit submit. So, what happens now? Let's talk about what you can expect next. So, for most applications, the standard processing time is about 30 days. It can be a little tough to wait, I know, but that's the typical window to expect. But, and this is really important, there is an exception. If your household has very little or no income, you might qualify for what they call expedited or emergency benefits. In those urgent situations, your application could be processed in as little as 7 days. It's definitely something to ask about if you're in that situation. So after that waiting period, you'll get a notice in the mail with one of 2 outcomes. If you're approved, that's fantastic. Your EBT card is on its way.
If you're denied, the notice will tell you exactly why. And here's the key thing to remember. You always have the right to appeal that decision. I want to leave you with this one last really crucial thought. Applying for food assistance isn't asking for a favor. SNAP is a program that's funded specifically to support households that are eligible. So if you qualify, you are absolutely entitled to that support. Now that you know the steps, hopefully it feels a little less daunting to see if this program can help you.